Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to another episode of Engineering with Shamil, and we are continuing with the Lucknow Fire series, and this is episode number 5. And in today's video, we are going to discuss about the importance of emergency exits in buildings. Okay, so if you go through the Lucknow incident, the Lucknow fire incident, which is in the Aliganj district in Uttar Pradesh, you can understand that the building which is in question was actually had only one entry and exit point, one entry and exit staircase. There was no any other alternate escape route for the occupants. That is the one big disadvantage. As we have mentioned in the previous video, it is considered to be the single point of failure. That escape route people couldn't use, and people couldn't use, that is, the occupants couldn't use, and the firefighters could not enter the building to save the lives of this occupant. And this was the blocking point for the people. So this is what we are going to discuss about today. So emergency exit will be the topic for discussion. So no emergency exits. There were no adequate exits for the building. There's a mistake over here. There were inadequate amount of exits, not sufficient amount of exits, and the exits were not designed properly. There were zero emergency exits. These were some of the observations which were made during the time of fire. So in Lucknow, what the investigation found, the investigation as in what the newspaper reports found, was that the building actually had no emergency exits. There was only one way in and out. Okay, that is through the main staircase. Okay, and the staircase, as I said in the previous video, the staircase was engulfed with fire and smoke within minutes. Okay, and there was no alternative route. And it's like as if it's like we say in a casual way, there's no plan B and there's no plan for escape. This is how the building was designed. So what the fire codes require, that is, I'm talking about the absolute minimum requirement that all the buildings need to follow. So every floor of the building must have at least two unobstructed, clearly marked exits. That is, the exit should be clear. At least two exits should be there. These two exits should be leading directly outside or to a safe refuge area. This is what the code requires. Now, why two exit routes? The reason why we are having two exit routes is that if one exit route is blocked by the fire or smoke, the other must be available. Okay, no two exit routes will be blocked by fire in the same time, in the majority of the cases. So that's why what we are doing is, if one exit is blocked because of fire and smoke, the other one is available. This concept is called as redundancy. And redundancy is the cornerstone for the life safety design. That is, whenever you're designing any life safety plan, you need to ensure that there is more than one exit route available. Okay, at least two exit routes should be available. So what makes a proper emergency exit? So we have a set of requirements. So the first requirement is sufficient number. There should be at least two exits per floor, and it should be based on the occupant load. Okay, that is number one. Number two is that it should be unobstructed. The path should be clear. There should not be any storage, debris, or locked doors blocking the path. The third one is that the emergency exit should be clearly marked. That is, the illuminated exit sign should be there. It should be visible from any point. The path should be protected. That is, the escape road should be protected with fire-rated corridors and stairwells. The path should be direct. That when you are designing a path, it should lead to the outside or to a safe refuge area, and it should be unlocked. That is, it should open from inside without keys or special knowledge or special codes. Okay, these are the aspects that we need to follow. So sufficient number, at least minimum two exits should be there. Then it should be unobstructed. The exit route should be clearly marked. The path should be protected with fire rating walls and floors. Then the escape route should be directly leading to outside or to a safe refuge area. And lastly, but not the least, the path should be unlocked. It should be easily unlocked from the inside without any keys or special knowledge. So, what were the observations? What were violations that we have observed in Lucknow? So, building in Lucknow actually got several things wrong when it comes to the emergency exit. So, first thing is that it had only one exit. That is, there was no redundancy in the building. There was no redundancy in case of emergency exit. There was no alternate route. There was no emergency exit. There was no fire escapes. There was no external staircase or alternate routes. The only exit which was available in the building, that itself was not fire rated. Okay, there was no protection in the exit. There was no fire doors over there in the building. So that fire door, what happened was, because of that, the smoke and the flames, they entered instantly. The exit signs were, there was no illuminated exit signs also. And because of that, what happened was, there was a confusion among the occupants where the exit was. Obstructions was in the case of the biometric locks. The biometric locks actually hindered the escape. That is, when the fire occurred, the biometric locks were not opening during the time of fire, and it hindered escape. So these were some of the things that the building got wrong. These were some of the violations which were observed in the building. So the consequence: what happens if there is no plan B? What happens if there is no alternate emergency escape route? So when the primary exit fails, there is no alternative. Okay, the occupants had no choice. They had to either jump, they had to either climb, or they had to die. Okay, because of all these activities. Okay, and the third one is that the firefighters, they had limited access points. That means that they couldn't use the staircase to enter the building, and there was no any other escape routes. So because of that, as per the reports, they are saying that the firefighters had to make a hole in the wall. That is, they had to actually breach the wall in order to gain entry. Some cases they had to use the terrace of the neighboring building to jump into the next building. So these were some of the ways the firefighters actually gained access to the building, which was not recommended as per the law. So the rescue operations became more difficult and delayed, and the survivability rate dropped dramatically. Now, why do emergency exits matter? So the emergency exits are valuable. They are of utmost importance because of the following reasons. So the first one is that it provides a second chance when the primary route fails. It offers peace of mind for the occupants. It creates access points for the firefighters. It ensures legal compliance for the building owners. It is a part of the law. That's why all the building owners, whenever they design the buildings, they need to ensure that there is an alternate exit route, and the emergency exit should save lives. Okay, it's as simple as that. Basically, it's all about life safety. It's all about protection of the human beings inside the building. The fire code requirements. Now, there are some additional code requirements that we need to follow. First one is regarding the exit width. So in the fire codes, the exit width should be designed in such a way that it accommodates the occupant load. So typically it is 0.2 inches per person. It is the factor. So when you're multiplying by the occupant load, then you will get the exit width. Then exit distance, that is the maximum travel distance to an exit, should be considered, and that will vary depending on the occupancy type. Then we have the exit signage. So it should be illuminated with battery backup. So whichever exit lights are being installed, whichever emergency lights are being installed, they should be illuminated with the battery backup. So these are the additional code requirements. Then we have the exit doors. The exit doors must swing in the direction of the travel. Then the panic hardware which is installed in the doors, they are required for the high occupancy spaces. So the key takeaway is that emergency exits are not optional. They are the minimum legal requirement for life safety. If a building doesn't have at least 2 unobstructed, clearly marked exits from every floor, it is not considered to be safe. It should have minimum 2 escape routes. Okay, and this goes without exception. So the conclusion is that the Lucknow fire turned a survivable event. That is, the building, if it had one more exit, if it had one more exit, there wouldn't have been this much loss. We could have expected at least all the occupants to escape from using the other route. So the conclusion is that the Lucknow fire, it turned a survivable event into a mass casualty because there was no plan B. The plan B designed for the building. So this is the observation which was made during the Lucknow fire incident. So with this, I conclude my video for today. And in case if you have any queries, doubts regarding this particular topic, regarding the emergency exits, please do post them in the comment section, and I will be happily obliged to respond to those comments. Thank you once again for listening. And before I sign off, I would humbly request all of you to kindly like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Engineering with Shamil, as it will serve me as a motivation to produce more content. Thank you once again, and I sign off, wishing all of you a good day ahead. Thank you.